Did you know about cuneiform writing system? Did you know that the cuneiform is world's earliest writing system? Cuneiform is oldest form of writing developed by the ancient Sumerians of Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq, more than 5,000 years ago. It is considered the most significant among the many cultural contributions of the Sumerians and the greatest among those of the Sumerian city of Uruk, which advanced the writing of cuneiform 3200 BCE. It is named for the characteristic wedge-shaped impressions which form its signs. Cuneiform was the most widespread and historically significant writing system in the ancient Middle East. In cuneiform, a carefully cut writing implement known as a stylus is pressed into soft clay to produce wedge-like impressions that represent word signs, also called pictographs and, later, phonograms or word concepts. The script was in active use from the early Bronze Age until the beginning of the Common Era. The ancient cuneiform tablets of Mesopotamia were discovered and deciphered in the late 19th century, and they would literally transform human understanding of history. The origins of cuneiform may be traced back approximately to the end of the 4th millennium BCE. The earliest written records in the Sumerian language are pictographic tablets from Iraq, evidently lists or ledgers of commodities identified by drawings of the objects and accompanied by numerals and personal names. Such word writing was able to express only the basic ideas of concrete objects. Numerical notions were easily rendered by the repetitional use of strokes or circles. The Sumerian script was adapted for the writing of the Akkadian, Elamite, Hittite, Hurrian languages, and it inspired the Old Persian and Ugaritic national alphabets, although it then disappeared when these cultures faded and new scripts, such as the Phoenician alphabet, developed. Numerous clay tablets, stelae, and even the sides of cliffs with cuneiform writings remained, discovered by archaeologists and deciphered by the efforts of a series of linguists. Cuneiform inscriptions provide valuable insights into cultures of the past. Cuneiform script underwent considerable changes over a period of more than 2 millennia. Originally, pictograms were drawn on clay tablets in vertical columns with a pen made from a sharpened reed stylus, or incised in stone. This early style lacked the characteristic wedge shape of the strokes. Certain signs to indicate names of gods, countries, cities, vessels, birds, trees, and so forth, are known as determinants, and were the Sumerian signs of the terms in question, added as a guide for the reader. Proper names continued to be usually written in purely ideographic fashion. From about 2900 BCE, many pictographs began to lose their original function, and a given sign could have various meanings depending on context. The sign inventory was reduced from some 1,500 signs to some 600 signs, and writing became increasingly phonological. Determinative signs were reintroduced to avoid ambiguity. In the mid-3rd millennium, the direction of writing was changed from columns running downwards, and signs were written from left to right in horizontal rows. At the same time, a new wedge-tipped stylus was used, which was pushed into the clay, producing wedge-shaped signs. These two developments made writing quicker and easier. By adjusting the relative position of the tablet to the stylus, the writer could use a single tool to make a variety of impressions. Cuneiform tablets could be fired in kilns to provide a permanent record, or they could be recycled if permanence was not needed. Many of the clay tablets found by archaeologists were preserved because they were fired when attacking armies burned the building in which they were kept. The script was also widely used on commemorative stelae and carved reliefs to record the achievements of the ruler in whose honor the monument had been erected. The archaic cuneiform script was adopted by the Akkadians from 2500 BCE, and by 2000 BCE, had evolved into Old Assyrian cuneiform, with many modifications to Sumerian orthography. The Semitic equivalents for many signs became distorted or abbreviated to form new phonetic values. because the syllabic nature of the script as refined by the Sumerians was unintuitive to Semitic speakers. At this stage, the former pictograms were reduced to a high level of abstraction, and were composed of only 5 basic wedge shapes. Typical signs usually have in the range of about 5 to 10 wedges. Most later adaptations of Sumerian cuneiform preserved at least some aspects of the Sumerian script. Written Akkadian included phonetic symbols from the Sumerian syllabary, together with logograms that were read as whole words. Many signs in the script were polyvalent, having both a syllabic and logographic meaning. This mixed method of writing continued through the end of the Babylonian and Assyrian empires, although there were periods when purism was in fashion and there was a more marked tendency to spell out the words laboriously, in preference to using signs with a phonetic complement. Yet even in those days, the Babylonian syllabary remained a mixture of ideographic and phonetic writing. Hittite cuneiform is an adaptation of the Old Assyrian cuneiform of 1800 BCE to the Hittite language. When the cuneiform script was adapted to writing Hittite, a layer of Akkadian logographic spellings was added to the script, with the result that we no longer know the pronunciations of many Hittite words conventionally written by logograms. In the Iron Age, Assyrian cuneiform was further simplified. From the 6th century, the Assyrian language was marginalized by Aramaic, written in the Aramean alphabet, but Neo-Assyrian cuneiform remained in use in literary tradition well into Parthian times. The complexity of the system prompted the development of a number of simplified versions of the script. Old Persian was written in a subset of simplified cuneiform characters known today as Old Persian cuneiform. It formed a semi-alphabetic syllabary, using far fewer wedge strokes than Assyrian used, together with a handful of logograms for frequently occurring words like God and King. The Ugaritic language was written using the Ugaritic alphabet, a standard Semitic-style alphabet written using the cuneiform method. However, the influence of cuneiform died away, and was completely abandoned as a style around the end of the 6th century. The cultures that used cuneiform disappeared, as other styles of written language populated the region, particularly the Phoenician alphabet, with whose efficiency cuneiform could not compete. All use and knowledge of cuneiform disappeared. It remained a mystery to many people until scholars in the 19th century worked to decipher it.